So Bentley released a new edition, we call it our Connect edition, and a lot of people are confusing the word connect with the meaning that it's all about the cloud. Well, it isn't. It actually is leveraging cloud technology, but it works on its own. So connect means connecting people together, connecting projects together, connecting users together. And it's all about how we build our applications to improve that level of communication and collaboration. So, we wanted to extend our Connect through the project ecosystem. We want to be able to have data mobility. Here we have a lot of people in the room now talking about actually opening up a complete BIM model on your iPhone or your phone device. How cool is that? Going back, I've been in this game for 30 years, and I would have never thought when I started doing CAD that would be at a point where I could actually look at something on a handheld device and be able not only to navigate and maintain or look at information or do clash detections, but just incredible how the technology and the innovation has grown in the past 30 years. So, I'm just going to sort of walk through this model. We have, part of our Connect editions is talk about playbooks, and playbooks are basically a collection of applications that you use for a project. And that all ties into that BIM execution plan, that defining the applications you need and being able to work in different ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off to now talking about innovation with BIM, with data mobility, and sort of talk about the Bentley mobile applications we have right now called Worksite and Navigator with the power of iModels. Now what iModels is a format, a file format that's a schema where it not only brings in the graphical information, but it also brings in all the rich data that you're capturing at the model at a specific time. So I don't do it well justice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this over to my friend Mike Shelisis, who's the Senior Director for Software Development of Mobile Applications. And I'm going to show you Mike's a video of Mike demoing our Worksite and Navigator. And this was done in our Year in Infrastructure conference in the UK last year.
So I'm going to demo Worksite for you first here. Before I do that, I just wanted to point out, though, on my iPad here, the other apps that we have available. So we have apps out on the Apple Store, Android Store, and Windows 8 as well, so support all three major platforms. So please go out and check out the other apps. I won't have time to demo them all today. I'll start off with Worksite, though. And when I demo Worksite, it's all about, again, the document-based visibility into my project. So it's all project-centric. So the first thing I'm going to do when I open the app is select which project I'm going to work on. And this goes right back to what Bhupinder talked about earlier, the common project environment in the Connect edition. This is a centralized view into my project here. I have some basic details about it. And from a user perspective, I have a unified task view then into everything that I want to do for my project in the field. I have document access. I have forms, data collection capabilities that tie back with project-wise engineering content management that Alan mentioned. I have issues resolution capabilities that I'll show you here in Navigator Mobile in a bit, and also the ability to progress work packages, all included right in this app. If I open documents here, I'll just take you through the document retrieval workflow to take some content with me into the field. And what you see when I open this view is the very top of the screen here is all about the shortcuts into my project. And from a user perspective, ultimately this is what I really care about, the shortcuts into my data. I don't need to worry about which repository, how far do I have to drill down, where is this found. Create these shortcuts. It's very easy to access my content and get exactly what I need for my job this week. Now, for the purposes of this demo, though, I do want to point out the repositories at the bottom of the screen here, just so you get a feel for the power of what we call federated information access behind the scenes. And that's really the ability to access multiple different repositories, tie them into one view here, and really give me centralized access for all my project data. The first repository you see here is all the content that's brought in through that project-wise sharing service that Alan just mentioned. So this is content that's automatically included in my project, have immediate access to, and can go ahead and start to favorite and use in my project. The other two repositories here, I'm connecting to a project-wise repository directly on premise. And finally, a Microsoft SharePoint repository as well I can include and use project data from that also. In this case, I'm just going to grab a couple of files from my P&ID folder here that I need to take in the field with me to do some inspections this week. So I'm going to jump in here, grab a couple of PDFs. I can interact with the files, make sure that it's the right content that I need. And when I'm done, I'll simply favorite these files. And what that means is I'm making them available for offline use. I'm going into the field. I don't know whether I have an internet connection or not. And so this is going to make sure that I have this content available to me offline. Now I can access all sorts of content here, my P&IDs, my iModels. And speaking of iModels, I'm going to shift over now into my Navigator mobile demo. This is Navigator, the app. And I'll take you through a bit here about our issue resolution capabilities that we're just adding right now. So the first thing you notice from this Navigator mobile perspective or initial screen is, again, the project-oriented nature of this. I have a project screen here, have all of my iModels listed that are part of this project, and I can jump into any of these models at any point. In this case, I'm going to go through a workflow here where I'm a field inspector. I'm going out to the field to do a little bit of a field inspection, and I've been given instruction to go out and look at these feed lines that are coming into this project to see if there are any issues with them. So in this case, I can click on these pipes coming into the plant, and I have the full power of the iModel here. Complete visibility into all the project information, as well as interacting with the 3D model, and some great capabilities there to really have visibility into what's going on throughout the construction project. In this case, I found an issue here on this particular pipe coming in, and so I'm going to pull up my new issues resolution capabilities here. This pull up from the bottom here, I have a grid of all the issues that have been defined for the project already by my other team members. In this case, I want to create a new issue, so I'm going to click plus. And this will allow me to fill out this form. Again, the engineering content management tie-in here to the forms capabilities. But I can enter this form data to describe exactly what the problem is and give my team back in the office specific feedback about what's going on and what needs to be addressed. So I'll fill out a location, priority for my team. I'll also be able to add attachments as well. So, a variety of feedback coming back from the field, photographs, markup information, either of the model itself or the photograph. In this case, I'm going to use a photograph here that I've taken of the bad weld. And I'll pull up the photo. And when I do that, I can actually just redline right on the photograph here and say, here's the bad area of the weld. This is what needs to be redone. And I'll add that as an attachment to my issue. I think you see this is a great tool from a field to office visibility workflows where you can really connect and get information back to the office and your team overall so they have an idea to triage and really prioritize what's going on and what needs to be addressed from the field. When that's done, I'll finish creating the issue and synchronize back, and that will be uploaded to my main project repository so that I have all that information centralized and available to my team lead. So speaking of team lead, I'm going to switch over to my Windows device now, and I will take on the role of being more of the team lead now for this next part. And Bhupinder spoke about the app and the application of Navigator Connect Edition. I'm going to demonstrate the application now on my Windows 8 device. You see this nice Microsoft Perceptive Pixel display. This is great for team reviews and interactive reviews from a team collaboration standpoint. But this is also just driven by my Microsoft Surface tablet here. So I could easily just disconnect this, take this to the field, and still have the same Windows application running in a mobile context as well. In this case, I'll fire up the application. And again, you see the same interface here as you saw on the iPad. Totally different form factor. Totally different operating system, but you still have the same power of the simple-to-use interface, touch-oriented. And in this case, we have the full power of a Windows application as well to take advantage of from a performance perspective. In this case, I'm going to jump into the aerial view here because, again, I'm the team lead in this case. I want to triage the issues that are coming in from the field, review them, and dole them out appropriate to crew assignments from there. So I'll be able to interact with this model just the same way with touch. I can get any views I need here in terms of what's going on. In this case, I'll pull up my list of issues here, get the latest down, and I can actually turn on a view here that shows me just what's going on from a spatial orientation as well, see where all the issues are marked across the location of the project. And this is really helpful from a crew assignment perspective to look at work areas, look at systems and assignment along those vectors as well. But I have that capability. At any point, I can jump into a specific issue here, and this will cause the model to zero in on exactly where the problem is. Again, have all the iModel properties available to me. I can click Edit here to pull up the form view, see all the information that was added in the field, any attachments, comments that were made. In this case, I can say, okay, this was actually approved, I'll mark it approved, and move on. So that would close out that issue, and that would be kind of an ongoing process then from an issue resolution workflow. So some pretty cool stuff that's happening in terms of field feedback and field interaction back to the job site, back to the office. One other thing I'd like to show you here in terms of Navigator Connect Edition is the ability to include other sorts of data as well for visibility into project schedules. So in this case, I've included some project schedule in this. This is a construction project here of a plant project. And I can pull up a different view now that shows me a variety of different schedule milestones that I've included in this project, or in this iModel, for visualization, for visibility into what's exactly going on at a detailed schedule level. So I have ability here to look at week 1, what's going on in the project, and you see it's an early start. So we've set the rebar and placed in form, so I can isolate just the active work areas. I can also go down to week 12 and zero in and see exactly what's changed, and again isolate into what's completed at that point. If I go back to maybe week 8, you can see the level of visibility I have here into exactly what tasks are occurring. In this case, pipe installation, fabrication complete, spools on site. So it's a very granular look into materials, into crew assignments, into maybe what disciplines I need to have on site and interact with. A lot of detail into project visibility and seeing exactly what's going on in my project. And all of the schedule information is brought in and included in the iModel itself. So it's the power of the iModel on the showcase here. That's a little bit of Navigator Connect Edition. It's a glimpse into the power that's there. We're really excited about how you all use it in the future, and we're getting great feedback from our early access users today.
So thank you, Mike, and I'm sorry about the video. We didn't do it justice. Basically, all that information is captured in that iModel format, and Navigator is our viewer that allows you can view project schedules by color. You can do clash detections with it. You can cut sections on the fly. You can assign issues to locations really easy. And so what I'd like to do is invite you to test drive this fantastic application for free. You sign up at our bentley.com/navigator test, and it starts July 1st, and it works on every platform. So you can run it on a Windows 8, you can run it on an iOS, and you can run it on an Android. And we offer plugins to pretty much every BIM application as well. So I welcome you guys to try it out, kick the tires, and see how it all works. So I guess my next topic here is the innovation of BIM with using augmented reality applications. And we in our Quebec office, we have a series of people dedicated to we call research and technology on the next fantastic thing that's coming, the next wave of technology innovation regarding BIM and design and CAD GIS. And so augmented reality, if you've ever seen it, is quite a relatively new thing that's come in place here. And basically, it allows somebody with a video to go in a street and be able to define information virtually by simply looking at things. You can see behind walls, and you can look behind things. How cool would that be to be able to identify utility information before you start digging and know exactly where things are? But again, it goes back to my point that it all starts with the data, right? And so we've been challenged to come up with a device to be able to work with have a tracking app. And so unfortunately, right now, when we started working this, there was no such tracking app when we were looking at augmented reality. There was nothing that would tie to a tablet that you would actually be able to do this. So what we did is we started experimenting on our own. Let me see if this video will play. It should come up. So again, we wanted to work with being able to capture information, for our augmented reality, and again, having the ability to find underground structures, find things in walls would be kind of cool in ways. So as you can see here, this is a real life situation here where you've got a shovel close to a gas main or a utility, and you've been. How many people have been here and seen this happen, where you've got to be very careful you're not going to upset anything. And how cool would it be to be able to put on, bring your iPad tablet to this device and have it show you virtually where the utility is in proximity to where the shovel is. And this can be done now. Like we're experimenting with this kind of technology now. So what we've done is we've created basically a sandbox environment. No pun intended, but it is actually a sandbox. And I guess the theory behind it is that the Earth has keep moving. So to be able to identify, to be able to work through an experiment that can, we got a camera up top and we're, trying to moving the soil around. We've got a grid through, and we want to be able to simulate what it would be like to be able to dig in an area and be able to superimpose a BIM model inside the Earth in the underground. And our poor little guy here just got crunched. So, right? So we see I can move ahead here. So you sort of get the message of now with augmented reality, you can identify your surface. As you can see, our grid lines are moving as we move the sand, and we're able to actually simulate the flow of Earth and identify, the depth in that. And I guess that's the next thing is to visualize tracking. So I just want to walk through my slides a bit here. That's our setup. That's our camera. So we also have another issue here with street line alignments and augmentation. As you can see here, obviously this picture is not right. There's some pavement markings that just aren't correct. So again, wouldn't it be kind of cool to be able to virtualize or using augmented reality to be able to identify areas of this nature? And so the problem was that we needed to be getting a more of a bird's eye view of this area. And let me see if this video plays as well. Hang on a second here. It's just a minute. Sorry for the... I'll have to skip through that one. I apologize. But here's one of our guys in our test labs here playing with our Oculus and being able to then simulate a person next to you. And then how cool is that, being able to use these tools to work through that. So I'm just kind of flipping through. So I guess the object here now is we have now the capability with some of the tracking devices to be able to take a BIM model and to be able to go on site with a tablet and be able to visualize where pipes, where utilities are for excavation now. And this is something that's coming out within the next year. So this is a live sample of that technology working, where we are able to identify, bring in BIM information or graphical information live into a photograph and walk through with a tablet handheld device now, as you're seeing. So again, more uses for our BIM technology and 3D information in ways of if you could just imagine be able to, the safety factor here of being able to, identify hazards and so forth. So we have it now. So the next part of my presentation is talking about indoor positioning or using, data using indoor GPS. So, you know, we talk about GPS in a way that everybody knows what GPS is now. I'm pretty sure that, you know, satellites and that, but they don't work inside, right? So we got to bring GPS indoor. Well, why do we do that? Well, you know, we want to make sure we can identify where you are and what rooms. So I'm sure there's a lot of systems out there that have, you know, inside GPS systems. So like I said, the traditional way was through satellites, and then we have things called, you know, indoor positioning technologies, where we receive signals and strengths from wireless devices and triangulation and survey points. So we can identify with these tools where you are in world. Well, how does that relate really, you know, into BIM? I'll get to that in a second. So you can receive information from wireless access points and then be able to triangulate where you are, and you can position it. We are looking around about a 3-meter accuracy. And then you can use things such as our Google Tango phone. Let me just kind of go back a bit. Is this video going to play? I guess not. And gives gives information of where you are in the room. And then we can talk about using our BIM information to find, you know, pathways and establishing routes and emergency routes. So I guess the future systems of BIMs are these. Have you seen these tools here? These are the Microsoft HoloLens tool. And obviously people have heard about Google Glass. And how does BIM going to apply to these appliances? Well, I've been, you know, talking and envisioning the ability of leveraging these devices for construction sites, and how cool it would be to be able to have these these ocular devices attached to construction workers, so they can be able to, on the fly, find information and navigate through a building before it's constructed. That would help on a lot of clash issues and being able to make sure that information, you know, what is being constructed is actually what was been designed, and it sort of bridges that gap between design and construction. And we talk about leveraging BIM, you know, data models for accident scene investigation with our police forces and so forth. And then one of the major things that I really wanted to talk about is leveraging BIM data models for first responders. How cool would it be when your first responder responds to an issue or a building, and they have that BIM model that you've created of that building that they can walk through and navigate through a building while in hazardous conditions where there's no light and smoke and things like that. That, to me, is definitely a great way of leveraging BIM technology. So what is next for BIM? Who knows? Could be augmented reality. Could be the ability of using these different eyewear devices and things like that. But one thing I want to make certain here, and when at this conference, is, to me, really the power of BIM and the power of building information modeling occurs after the ribbon has been cut on a building or a job site. That's really when it comes into play. When you're taking all that information, that design, all that information that you've captured in a model, and bringing it into utilizing it, operations and maintenance and management, and the life cycle of that actual infrastructure. How great is that to be able to have that information to shorten, to gain efficiencies in operations and maintenance through costs and through incredible cost savings. And this is something that I feel is a real power of BIM. I thank you for your attention. I do apologize for the technical difficulties, and thank you very much.